Welcome to Building Foundations for Education. I'm excited today because we're planning for a big party. It's the pre-K party and kindergarten roundup. And today I have 3 special guests to share with you about this exciting community-wide celebration. Welcome. It's wonderful to have you, Meredith Egan.
Thanks for having us, Cynthia. We're so excited to be here.
Oh, good. And Shannon, Maitland, great to have you.
Hi, thanks.
From Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative.
Very nice to be here.
And Annette from GYAC, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I feel like we have the A-team with us, very star-studded group of leaders for children in education. So each of you play a really important role in our community, and I'd love for you to share just a little bit about how you lead and support education.
So my day job, I work for United Way, but I'm also on the board of the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative. And we really took part in the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative because we saw that there was a necessary need to build a system for early childhood. So as a board member, that's kind of my role, is works with my regular job to connect with United Way partners and the community at large and get the message out about kindergarten readiness.
That's great, and thanks for supporting the Education Foundation through United Way for our Step Into Kindergarten program.
We love that program.
Thanks, so do we. So, okay, Shannon, tell us what you do.
So I'm the Community Engagement Manager with Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative. So planning our events, facilitating committees, are some of the things that I enjoy the most.
And I know you're out there in the community doing lots of great things too through your work.
Yes, we're out in the community meeting with lots of different partners, pulling them together, having conversations, and making great things happen for children and families.
That's awesome. And Annette, I'm so glad you're with us from Gifford Youth Achievement Center, right?
Yeah.
And so many things going on at your center, but
Yes.
we're excited that you're part of this. So tell a little bit about your role.
My role is, as Shannon said earlier, GYAC is one of the partners that is working with the Kindergarten Roundup. So a number of volunteers, come together and to make this big event happen. So because GYAC is a partner, then some of the staff, we are a part of the Roundup.
I know this is our 3rd year, is that correct?
Yes.
And the first year I thought it was wonderful. Dr. Rendell said, okay, I'm going to come out, give you guys all a pat on the back and say, good job, team. And we were, I think, all blown away.
Yes.
I've never seen so many people, and I worked at the Indian River Mall for 8 years leading Burdines, which is now Macy's, and it was packed, and it was so exciting to see so many young families. So the Kindergarten Roundup is coming up on February 24th, is that right?
Yes.
And so what are people going to see when they step through that door?
They are going to see welcoming faces from the school district. They are going to see child care centers. They are going to see all sorts of services that their family and their children can connect with in a kind of a one-stop shop. They are going to see story times. They're going to see principals sitting on the floor reading with kids and welcoming them to come to their school and trying to connect with them and really just teach them about all the things necessary to get ready for kindergarten.
That's awesome. And Shannon, you added a really great component, I thought, and that was for parents. There's a play area, supervised play area. So when parents show up with maybe several children, we all know as parents trying to fill out paperwork and juggle kids, especially in a large space. So tell a little bit about the activities, why parents are learning that kids can enjoy.
The Kids Corral is the supervised play area like you mentioned, so it's for children who are potty trained all the way up through age 13. We'll have volunteers there from AmeriCorps, Big Brothers Big Sisters. We'll have Home Depot there building boats or some sort of activity. We'll have the local law enforcement will be there doing fingerprints of the children if the parents would like to do so. And all of the kids will get a free book while they're there. So we'll have a nice little reading nook, and it'll be in a storefront at the mall. So
So it's like contained. Nobody can pluck a kid out of there, right?
Exactly.
It's very safe. Yeah.
Contained. We'll have matching bracelets for the parents and for the child.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. And Annette, I know GYAC as a partner has always had a booth or a table and an activity as well.
GYAC will be there. We will have a table laid out explaining all the activities and resources that we have there at the center.
And tell a little bit, I know you have a wonderful after-school program.
Yes. We have an after-school program from kindergarten up to 12th grade. We have an average, I think, maybe about 150, 175 kids, a day coming in and out of the center. Yeah. And this year we celebrated our 20th anniversary, so we're very excited. And it's in the community of Gifford, so we're basically the hub
Yep.
of Gifford. And so we have a lot of our kids that come from all of the schools in Indian River County that are bused there, and they're able to stay there and receive after-school tutorials until 6 o'clock.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So thank you for that, because that really supports. We're starting about early pre-K and kindergarten, but that's really a connective network for those children. So we have all these things happening, but the overreaching goal for this event, other than to have fun and to bring families out, is what?
To get children connected to a school or a program early. So we want parents to be registered early, have an understanding of all of the requirements, and know the school that they're going to go to, whether it's a preschool, whether it's kindergarten, whether it's a summer program. And the reason this program started is that we had children showing up on the first day of school not registered. The school wasn't prepared for them. The teacher wasn't prepared for them, the classroom. So it was just causing disruptions in the family with the child. The child felt unwanted, that they weren't accepted into the classroom. They get shuffled all around. So we had, parents confused, schools confused. So this was our way of responding to that community need and having parents understand the registration process, having children know where their school is, maybe possibly meet their principal on this day, have all the paperwork done, have the school prepared and the family prepared so that they have several months to kind of start talking about. They can drive by their school and say, that's where you're going to go to school come the fall. So that's really the goal, is to have parents connected and the children connected to the school much earlier and have that learning process start.
And I think you're right. So many parents I've talked to are like, well, what do I need to do? What their child may be going to a center, let's say as a baby up through 3 years of age, but as they start to enter that point where they could step into VPK. And Shannon, do you want to share that's an opportunity for parents to learn about voluntary pre-K programs, public and private, right?
Exactly. We'll have the Early Learning Coalition there, and they'll be helping with the application for voluntary pre-K. They'll also be approving certificates right on site. So a family can come, fill out the application, upload their important documents, and leave with that certificate. And we have several local preschools who will be right outside the door. So they will be some of them will be accepting applications. It'll be an opportunity for the families to meet folks, meet the different preschools. And as a parent who has a child who's going into kindergarten this year, I love the fact that we're pulling together lots of different resources in a place that's neutral, right? It's in the middle of town. Everybody feels welcome. Everybody feels safe at the mall. And we're doing it on a Saturday from 10 to 2. So although I would love to go on a tour of different schools in the area, I have to work, so I can't go during normal business hours, and lots of other parents are like that as well.
But that's a great point, because parents can meet. I know last year I think we had almost every single principal and assistant principal there. So it was a chance for parents to meet for the public schools kindergarten program. We did have private schools there and private pre-K providers as well, so they got to meet them. And it was just a chance to make that connection. And of course, they can always make an appointment later on to have the tour of the school. So does somebody, I know I said I'd put no one on the spot, but would someone like to explain, what is VPK? What is voluntary pre-K? Like we're on a game show. Who would like to take that question for 50?
I will try. Voluntary preschool is the VPK program. It is our state's version of Preschool for All. It is universal preschool that gives every child in the state of Florida access to an early learning program. So they can get a voucher. There's no income eligibility. Every single child has access to an early learning program, whether it's a preschool, whether it's a child care center, whether it's through the school district. They can use that voucher to attend an early childhood program at no cost.
Awesome. And so, Annette, you probably see this as the children enter into kindergarten and then grow. And so what are your impressions of the impact that this has from those very young children onto the kids who come to the center?
The impact is very great because the children are prepared, and once they come to our kindergarten program, I mean, it's just a continuation from what they've learned in preschool, and now they are in kindergarten, and they love it because now they're in the big school with the other kids, and they get to change classes, they get on the school bus, and so the transition is very, very smooth. it's awesome to see them on the second day knowing what they're supposed to do when school starts.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we love it. And my child was a product of that. She was in VBK, and then when she came to the center, the transition was very smooth and smooth sailing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think children are ready for it, and we've talked about this
Yes.
a lot, but the kindergarten we had, I'm older than all three of you, is much different than the expectations. And children are reading by time they're
Yes.
leaving kindergarten. And, you know, there's some debate. Some people feel like, well, maybe that's not necessary, but it really is for our children to be competitive. So going back
Absolutely.
to the pre-K party and kindergarten roundup, that's a big word, lots of things happening. So there's going to be live entertainment, right?
Yes.
Shannon,
Correct.
tell us
Yes.
about that.
Yes, we'll have a stage set up. So the best way to get to this event at the mall, it's between Dillard's and the movie theater. There's an entrance called entrance number 3. And near that entrance, we'll have a stage set up in a big corner storefront with glass windows. You can come, you can sit, you can watch preschoolers. We'll also have karate performances and cheer performances. We'll have some guest readers coming in. So it'll be a nice place for folks just to sit and relax for a moment and be entertained.
Awesome. And so when people want to come to the pre-K party and kindergarten roundup, we hope they'll bring their children.
Yes.
Yes.
But what else should they bring?
They should bring a copy of their child's birth certificate. If the child has a Social Security card, they should bring that. And then they also need to bring proof of residency, so in the form of a utility bill or a service bill.
That's great. So if you just tuned in, we're talking about the pre-K party and kindergarten roundup, which is Saturday, February 24th. It's a free event from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Indian River Mall. And I think what's powerful, not only the turnout is amazing because it's a testimony to
Yes.
support. And I think, Meredith, you mentioned when we started talking about this years ago, we had children just being put on a bus just because parents didn't know. It's not
Right.
that they just didn't know.
They just thought they could send their child to school. The school
Yeah.
bus comes down the street.
And just put them on. So we want parents to know early on that by registering, that opens on the 24th, that also enables them a chance to access other programs and services through UYAC and other community partners and our Step Into Kindergarten program to prepare children. But what are some other benefits do you think that come from bringing all of these community partners together? What do you all feel is the most powerful? I told you I wouldn't put you on the spot, but I'll start by saying I think it's really amazing to see folks coming in kind of shy,
Yes.
and then because there's that person greeting them, that's welcoming them, asking them where is their child registered if they're entering kindergarten. A lot of folks don't know that, so there's some friendly greeters, right, that will help them pull up what school they're zoned for, and then what happens.
From there, like you said, there will be the friendly greeter to answer questions
Yeah.
and help direct parents. And then they'll get copies of their birth certificate and all their important information. So we'll have a room set up just next to Dillard's on the right-hand side. We'll have a copy room set up so you can get all your copies, and then you can take that to your school and get your child signed up right then and there.
That's awesome.
But I think, as you mentioned, it's really great because some parents don't know what school they're zoned for. They might live near, in between a few schools, and it's scary to go in and ask, especially if you could show up at the wrong one.
Right.
So I think having this opportunity where everybody's there, everybody's having a good time, it's a safe environment to come and ask questions. So one of my favorite things is just the fact that we can bring everybody together and people can get signed up for all sorts of different services. We'll have free dental screenings from TCCH. We'll have vision screenings from the school district and the health department. The health department will also be printing immunization records. So that's another thing parents can bring is if you bring your child's immunization records, they can make sure that they're up to date in the system, let you know if your child needs any shots before school starts. So I just love seeing everybody come together and get some of these services that we might not seek out, but because they're all there in one place, people are utilizing them.
Well, and I think, after you first have a child and you've read all the books, then you're like, eek. Remembering everything can be overwhelming. And then I think that whole thought of your child starting school can be overwhelming. So I think the beauty of this pre-K party and kindergarten roundup on February 24th from 10 to 2 at Indian River Mall is a chance to take those jitters out and for parents to actually walk through the whole process and learn. And also, I think we really want to welcome if parents have younger children.
Yes.
It's a great opportunity, maybe who are, 1 or 2, and just kind of want to check it out and see what it's about. Do we welcome them as well?
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. We want them to be familiar with the services so all of this doesn't surprise them in a year or two when it's time to start thinking
Right.
about school and getting signed up. They can familiarize themselves with the services that are available in the community. Even if they think they don't need them now, they may need them
They
in
will.
3 months.
Well, and that's a very good point. I think life has a funny way of surprising us. So sometimes you don't think you're going to need the services, and you do. And especially, as a working parent, to have a program like GYAC is phenomenal because there's so much more that they get beyond the academics, but that character building. So I know that we've talked about many things that are going to happen, but we want the viewers to know, how can they get involved?
Volunteers.
Volunteer.
Yeah.
Volunteer.
If you'd like to volunteer that day, we have a registration form on our website. You're more than welcome to join us. We need help. We need friendly faces. We also have a few sponsorship opportunities available. So if you're interested in being a sponsor, you could contact us at our office.
Okay, super.
And I wanted to throw in too that so many times when parents go to complete paperwork for their kids, the child is on their leg or distracting them. But our Kids Corral is the play zone, as Shannon mentioned, that you can leave your kid and you go complete your paperwork, do everything that you need, and then once you're done, come back to
That's
the
an
room.
important part. They have to come back for their child.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Don't go shopping. Don't go shopping. Come back and pick your child up, but you would have, you're free of children for about 30 or 45 minutes to do what you need to do at your thought process. You can do everything and then come back and get your child without that distraction. So that's the important role of the Kids Corral.
I think so, absolutely.
And to add on to that, once you have your paperwork done and once you pick up your kiddo, all of the different vendors and agencies that will be there will have either a healthy giveaway
Yes.
or some sort of interactive activity. So once you get the paperwork done, there are fun things that parents and
kids.
children can do to engage with
stations.
each other.
Oh, yeah, and you said every child leaves with a book?
Every
Yes.
child leaves with a free book, thanks to our friends at Literacy Services and also Kids Closet Charities.
Oh, great.
And one of the other exciting things this year that's a new addition, we've had All Aboard of the Treasure Coast, All Aboard Therapy. They'll be there this year. They're one of our new sponsors, and they'll have therapists on site. So they'll be there to do learning checkups with kiddos. They're going to have a mat and some tables and activities. They'll be there to answer questions. We'll also have early steps of the Treasure Coast and 2-on-1 Help Me Grow. So they'll be together in this screening area. So it never hurts to have a checkup for your kiddo.
Well, and that's a really important point, not only for children preparing for pre-K and kindergarten, but even very young children. If parents are concerned about the developmental milestones of their children, All Aboard is a wonderful 2-on-1 Help Me Grow, and I'm sorry, what the third one was?
Early steps.
Early steps, that's right. And I can say my son was a part of all 3 of those. And so sometimes it's great because your family's wonderful, but sometimes if you ask a question, I can just say this about my family, it becomes a really big deal. And the nice thing about going and meeting with those folks is it's non-judgment, not saying that your family would judge, but it's just it's a nice setting. You have an objective sort of opinion, and the children they have a chance for them to observe them and learn about the program services that are available. Because as Meredith said, you may not think you need them now, but as time progresses, then they may find they need to. So that's just a wonderful opportunity.
It is.
So we've covered a lot of stuff for our pre-K party and kindergarten roundup on Saturday, February 24th, 10 to 2 at the Indy River Mall. They can learn about registering for kindergarten, getting a voluntary pre-K voucher, health services, private care providers, after school, shows, giveaways. I feel like I'm up. More.
Right.
Party.
It is truly a
It's
party.
a party.
It's a
That's what we
party.
wanted to make it a party.
Yes.
We didn't want people to feel that they were going somewhere else to be shuffled around and move from line to line and have to fill out paperwork. We wanted them and their child to be able to enjoy the experience.
That's awesome.
Exactly. Can I say one more new thing
Sure,
we
yeah,
have at the event? The school district of Indian River County will have a kindergarten digital readiness room set up. So they'll have computers where parents and children can use different learning tools and resources. They can do a sample assessment. They'll have their experts there to talk about what's expected of children.
Right.
Children are now expected to be able to use a mouse,
Right.
which I didn't know that, so that's really important.
They know how to use an iPhone, they know how to use an iPad,
So
but the mouse is
But that's an
becoming...
important point because I get asked that out in the community. We've done a lot to support the district with digital learning, and they'll say, well, I don't think those kids are ready, but they are really, you know, they're the digital natives, and we're really the digital
Correct.
immigrants, you might say.
right. That's
And so
right.
these children grow up in it, and it's really amazing to go into young classrooms and see them integrating with technology very rapidly. Of course, that brings up the big debate about handwriting because there's so much keyboarding. But it is, I think, by having those things there, parents can really get a sense. And the other great thing, too, is I think, and this may be part of it, it shows parents how they can access information. And one of the values we found in our Step into Kindergarten program was it got parents to understand how the whole school system works. And so if you went to a small school or maybe didn't have a positive experience, I think all of this party leans to building relationships so parents can have a positive experience for their children, and we can build stronger parent engagement as well.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think when you said building relationships, I think that goes for the parents meeting the schools and the
Yes.
parents meeting the service providers, because
Right.
when the time comes that a parent needs to make that call or stop into an office, if you already know someone who works there, you
That's right.
recognize that familiar face,
Right.
it's much less scary
Right,
to go
exactly.
in.
And when we said, I mean, relationships is probably one of the key words here, is that when the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative set out to do this, or really even set out to establish the collaborative, not even the Kindergarten Roundup, it was really about the family engagement and having the parents understand the relationships that were necessary to help
Yes.
their child be successful. They didn't have to do it all on their own.
Right.
So, you know, kind of being there from the beginning, the Roundup seems to be like the visual representation of that. Like to
Yes.
walk into the Roundup and see, you know, the community really rallying around early childhood and making those connections and building the relationships for families. That's really what we set out to do, and this is just kind of one of the tactics that got us there.
Absolutely. So again, we've been talking about the pre-K party kindergarten roundup, which is Saturday, February 24th from 10 to 2 at the Indian River Mall. And the whole sense of community, each of you through your organizations represents a commitment to this, but really to the community, and you may have things coming up. So Meredith, do you want to share as far as United Way's focus on early education as one of, what would you say, the pillars of your focus?
We have 3 impact areas, and education, financial stability, and health. And obviously in education, early childhood education is one of the pillars of that. It's very important. That's one of the reasons United Way got involved in the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative in the early years, and that I served as chair on the board, because we saw the importance and we knew that this collaborative really needed to move forward to help build the system around early childhood.
Right, awesome. And Shannon, I know this is one of the premier events for the KRC for Kindergarten Readiness Coalition Collaborative, but I know there's other great things too that you have going on.
We do have a lot going on. So we have an upcoming Lunch and Learn for our partners and people in the early childhood system who are interested in learning more. That's on March 9th. More information's on our website. And we also have Touch a Truck Family Festival coming up October 6th.
Oh, that's good. That's a good,
So-
not hot.
No, we thought that would be a good time. So if you're interested in becoming a sponsor or a volunteer for that event, please feel free to reach out to us.
And tell our viewers, what do you do at Touch a Truck? I mean, the name lends itself to
Yeah.
touching, but it's really much more than that, right?
It is. We've really, we're working very hard to make it a literacy event, a family engagement event. So last year we added the scavenger hunt component. And Meredith and I witnessed a moment that was so precious. There was a dad and the child sitting on the floor talking about their favorite trucks and what color they were and how many wheels they had. And they were writing it on their sheet. And then once they did, they turned in their sheet and got a free book. So it's a really great opportunity where we have we had about 50 big trucks at the fairgrounds. And then the indoor area, we had lots of tables set up where learning was happening. But again, it was kind of a fun learning. And I would like to say that that's not possible without our sponsors. So I'd like to thank United Way, PNC Grow Up Great, and All Aboard Therapy of the Treasure Coast for being the sponsors this year. And then for all of our events, our planning committee. So Cynthia, you're on our planning committee for the Roundup, and I can't thank you enough. Same thing for you, Annette. And we have lots of other wonderful folks there.
Great, super.
So-
And Annette, I know you're recovering from your 20th anniversary celebration at GYAC.
Yes, the 20th gala a few weeks ago at Oak Harbor, and it was magnificent. It was just great. And so if you've not been to the Gifford Youth Achievement Center, we ask you to come out. Our executive director is Miss Angelia Perry, and of course Mr. Freddie Woodfork, who everyone knows, would be glad to give in and everybody, as we call it, the royal red carpet tour of the center. Because a lot of people pass by the building, but they don't know what goes on the inside.
Right.
But I just recommend that if you have not been, come and get a royal tour of the center, and we're much more than an after-school program.
Absolutely, and I think the best time to come to see the magic happen is when the kids are there.
When the kids are there. When the kids are there.
Yes.
After 2, probably around 2:30, 3 o'clock, when the action is going on.
I'm not saying it's not exciting when they're there, but I just think personally, I find it really heartwarming to be there when the children are there.
You get a better feel and experience of what the kids do on a day-to-day basis. And the kids love, I mean, when they see tours, they don't do anything different. They're just doing their normal
They like to
activity.
show you what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And then you realize you're not smarter than a 5th grader because they're showing you what they're working on. Well, good. So as we wrap up, I always like to ask this question, like, what was your favorite, maybe, recollection of early education, or maybe even a teacher? One of your first recollections that as we kind of wrap up.
I can remember mine.
I think you can, because I sort of remember what you told me. That's why I'd start with you.
I can remember my kindergarten teacher coming out on the first day of school, into the schoolyard to meet us all with this sign that said smile, and every letter was a different color. And she stood there, and none of us knew what the word was or what it meant. And that kind of became like, she started the very first moment of our first day of school. That experience was a learning experience, and she made it fun. And by the end of that day, we all knew how to spell smile. We all knew what a smile was. We knew the colors that every different letter was, and it just stuck with me because she made it fun, and we learned a word that day.
And I think that's a key component to all of this, at least when I talk to people in the community. Learning is really fun. The kids love it. And sometimes as adults, we kill it. So I think this effort is to keep learning fun and keep kids engaged as learners. So Shannon, do you have an early recollection of a teacher or a moment? Or
I have a few. My first one that I can think of is kindergarten. We had a lovely circle area with steps where our teacher used to read to us, and I've always loved being read to. And then I'm also thinking of, we made noodles one time in either kindergarten or first grade. And I had never made noodles before. They always just came out of a box. Exactly. We had the spiralizer machine, and all the kids got to knead the dough. And I love cooking, and I love being in the kitchen. So I feel like part of that sparked my interest in being a chef.
That's awesome. Annette, anything that comes to mind?
Well, yeah, I remember my preschool days.
Wow, you're good.
Yes, I remember our preschool days at a church, and that's where I went. And my teacher was Miss Blue, and I can remember just so exciting going to school to see other kids and not knowing that I was learning, but I thought I was playing, but I was learning.
Right.
Yeah, with the different activities. So yes, I can remember my preschool days at a church.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I thank you all for being with us. It's great. I'm excited to see what happens. And we've been talking about the kindergarten, pre-K party and kindergarten roundup, which will be Saturday, February 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Indian River Mall. And thank you, Meredith Egan from United Way and immediate past chair of KRC. I think you gave a little wahoo as we mentioned that.
I served as chair for a few years, so I'm happy to pass it on.
That's great. And Shannon Maitland, thank you for being with us, head of community engagement for KRC.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being one of the pioneers to help all of this
my
early
pleasure.
childhood.
And Annette, I'm so glad from GYAC that you're with us and that you're also a community partner, and I hope that people will seek you out as well to learn about the wonderful programs that GYAC offers.
Thank you, Cynthia, for having me.
Thanks. Thanks for being with us, and we hope to see you at the party.